Okay, welcome everybody to this evening's AUDJPY Securities webinar. My name is Duncan Cooper. So tonight's webinar is Forex Trading Live Market Analysis. Coming up this week from me, tomorrow evening I'll be going through part 3 of Smart Money Concepts, giving you an introduction to price imbalances, and then more analysis from me on Thursday. So those webinars at 7 p.m. If you want to join me, just register your interest at our webinar page. All right, so for everybody in the webinar, if you could read through the disclaimer, that would be great. For those on our YouTube live stream, I cannot see the chat, but you're more than welcome to watch there or use the link that I've given to join us in the webinar. For those in the webinar, if you want to talk to me, just use the chat box or the Q&A box. Just talk to me. So I'll just give you a moment to read through the disclaimer. All right, let's move along now. For those that don't know me, my name is Duncan Cooper. I'm the Senior Market Strategist and Trading Mentor here at AUDJPY Securities, and I'm a full-time Forex trader. Been almost trading now for 20 years in the Forex market, mentoring for more than 10. If you want to contact me, my email's there, duncan.cooper@acy.com. And through the week, you can connect with me at our website. Go to acy.com, go to the Market News tab, or at our YouTube channel at AUDJPY Securities Australia. And if you want to connect with me personally, my Linktree page and my links can be found there at that link. And if you want to get access to the chart layouts and temps I'm using in MT4, then just contact Nathan.bray's emails there on screen. He'll only be too happy to set you up. And for those in the webinar, I'll just put them in the chat. There's these details in the chat for you. All right. So let's get into, first up this evening, the news items for the week. Bear with me a second. All right, so time shown in my time, Queensland time, New South Wales time. So getting into Wednesday at the moment. So just moving into Wednesday on the midnight this evening. From the US, we have the ISM Manufacturing PMI data. That can definitely drive the market. So definitely be aware of that coming out this evening. Tomorrow morning for the Aussie crosses, we have the Aussie GDP QQ at 11:30 a.m. I think they're expecting, from what I'm seeing on the news, a soft number. So shouldn't have any surprise, I don't think, there, but we'll have to wait and see. Tomorrow evening for Canada, we have the interest rate decision, expecting a cut there. So that's at 11:45, rate statement, overnight rate. Midnight into Thursday for the US, we have job openings, press conference from the Canadian BOC. Then into the morning on Thursday at midday for the Aussie with the RBA Governor Bollock speaks. Into the evening, 10:15 p.m. for US, we have ADP non-farm employment change figures, unemployment claims. Market will definitely be looking at those figures. Into Friday on the midnight, ISM Service PMI data, and then the bigger one for the week. We have the US job figures, average hourly earnings, non-farm employment change, unemployment rate 10:30, along with the Canadian employment figures too. So market will be certainly heading towards this figure on Friday from the US. But there's some other ones there to certainly take note of. The market can certainly get driven by those as well. And what we're definitely seeing over the last week is maybe just a slight positiveness moving back into the dollar as we're heading into that job figure. So we'll see whether that holds on. So let's get into the charts now. On the dollar index itself, this is the monthly chart. Just been doing a little bit of work on it. Last week, as the month was getting close to ending, we did come down and test this area here. So the 165 level. And for a number of months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. For almost, I would say the best part of a year now, we've actually been within this range that I've got a fib drawn across. Okay, so at the moment, the question is, are we going to just hold in this range? Are we going to see support hold here? You know, we've got 4 months of the year left to go. we could just remain within this range, just roughly drawing it in. Could get resistance here, or even up to the top. So we could come up back up to any of that area up there. I know we've been selling off because market's expecting the September interest rate cut from the US. But if we continually test and hold down here, you would have to come to the conclusion that we are going to at least remain range bound and move back up the range. So it's worth just understanding the picture there from the highest time frame. So what we're seeing on the weekly charts is a weekly reversal last week. So I'd anticipate we're going to be moving back up within this range at the moment. I get the right line tool here. So this range here at the moment, how much do we come back up this way? First of all, if we start to come back above this area around about the 103.93-ish level, then there's every chance we could be moving back up to test the previous tops. So we're already seeing a reversal down here at support. So I would start to think that we're going to see the opposite on the pairs to the US dollar. And the question is going to be, how strong a reversal do we get back up the range for the US dollar, down for the pairs to the US dollar, versus the US dollar. So I'd envisage at some point this week, we may be forming a higher bottom here on the day chart of the dollar index and starting to see a movement back up the range, at least in the early part of the month. And we'll just have to see how strong the reversal can be. All right, let's get into the S&P 500. This is how I mapped it out before I had a week away. And we're almost testing the high. This is the weekly chart on the S&P 500. We're almost testing the high, all-time high, after getting support down here at the 62.79% area of this range. And the day chart here. It's not the best area to be a buyer at the moment because we're obviously getting very close to the all-time high. But, from a trend perspective, that is a fresh high. So we may pull back within this range at the moment. Might just move these lines off. As long as we can't now pull back, as long as we don't break this area, this low, trend remains up. So we could pull back to 55.63. That would be a great buying area for the market. All right, so I wouldn't be interested in buying up so high. Not really getting the signal at the moment that we're maybe in sell mode because we've obviously reclaimed all this back up here. So are we going to be moving above this high long term? So if we wanted to engage, I would be looking at the 4-hour charts, going from that low to high and looking for the 62.79% area. So 55.85 down to 55.67, and that support area at 55.63 there. Do we come into this area down here this week? There's also some lows here from last week. Do we come back down to support and hold to keep the longer term trend up? That would be my buy area to start to watch if we pull back. All right, now the euro dollar weekly chart. Big question, big reversal here. Big move up a fortnight ago above this weekly high at 111.39. And then a big reversal back below that level and also the level over here. So with folks breaking some areas of resistance to the left, trend is up in terms of the weekly chart, higher bottom to an obviously higher top. So we may just be moving back down within this movement up. We may just be moving maybe back down to some area of support to continue the long-term trend that we're seeing at the moment. Or because we're very high up here and we know what the dollar index is doing, it's on support, we could, potentially be putting maybe the high of the year in, and we could see a movement all the way back down. So it is very expensive from where it's reversing. So at the moment, all I can say there, the weekly chart trend is up, but I can quite clearly see where it's reversing from. And the day chart is getting into a bit of a corrective sell mode at the moment. It's just broken below. There's a minor high bottom here. So now we have turned to a day chart downtrend, and today we are starting to want to move below this area. So this weekly top over here, I think, is the key area for, if you're a buyer, this is the area you probably want to be watching this week, 109.81. If we get down to there this week, do we start to hold here? And that's where we should start seeing some buying pressure coming in. And that would be a great area to watch for a setup to buy, whatever your setup is, if we get down there. But at the moment, we're from the day chart down, we're in sell mode at the moment. And I just want to go back to the weekly chart. Just to make one comment. I've got a fib drawn across this range too. You can see here we're starting to fail. I want to be below the 79% level this week, last week into this week. So there is the possibility that we've got this pattern long term. All right, so if we do start to move below that top at 109.81 this week, that is going to be a little bit more suggestive of potential for that pattern to start to come into fruition maybe over the next few months. It's not going to come into fruition this month. It's going to need a few months, obviously, to show its hand there, if that is the case. So let's drop down into the 4-hour chart. And the most immediate 4-hour trend, we're just getting close to the 127 extension here. So into Friday to Monday, we've rallied to 62 level, coming down. Now we don't have a stop at the 127 level. We could just continue down. But I would start to be looking for this to maybe just want to come down to the 127 extension level first of all, and then look to, watch where it bottoms out and look for an opportunity to sell the next rally. Now I just want to put a line in for my day chart. This area now, if we hold below here today, 104.47, so 110.47, if we start to hold below that level today, then I would start to look for that to be maybe a resistance area to rally back to over the next couple of trading days. So I'm not seeing anything I really want to do today. It looks like, getting close to maybe the bottom of this fib move. If you want to get short, you want to be getting short up here where it topped out. Look for it to maybe 110.27 is a 127 extension, so it could get down to 110 for sure. Then we might see a bit of a bounce from there. So I would start to monitor for a rally. Okay. Of course, I'm never going to sell it at the bottom of wherever we are at the moment. If I wanted to sell today, I could monitor that range that I've got already drawn in. Or I could just monitor, I can see what we've been having, movement down, a rally, and a movement down. So what I could do is I could monitor this smaller range if I wanted to as well. So I'd be more inclined to use that bigger one, but you could also use this range. I'd look to the 79% level, so that's at 110.59. So, if we were to bottom out, come back up, like so, but looks a very nasty 50-minute candle that. So we may have decided that we're committing below 110.47 now. So if we don't get a rally today now, tomorrow I'll start to look at 110.47 for a rally back too. All right, euro yen. Now, I know on the euro yen and the dollar yen, we've kind of put a higher bottom in. Ricardo, hello to you. And I go to the weekly chart. We have put a little higher bottom in here. But today we've heavily rejected weekly resistance. So we have a lower top, higher bottom. You know, often seeing the first higher bottom after a massive decline could start to give you the idea that we're going to be moving back up this range. However, I don't like the way it's, not committing above this area at the moment. So it is a little bit difficult on the yen pairs at the moment. I've been saying a while ago that on the monthly chart, it's the same deal on all these yen pairs. I've said it before, but if you haven't been with me for a while, monthly trends are up, seeing 79% rejections at those levels. This weekly is mixed with the high bottom coming in, and there's a minor lower top here in the daily. So we've come down from there, we've broken above it. So we could, over the next 24 hours, just come down maybe for a 79% retracement into this area to get support to continue up. So that's what, if you're trading on the buy side, that's the area I would look for support at the moment. I can't trade the sell side resistance because we've already hit it and failed there already. So if we're maybe got a slight upward bias, I would, on the 4-hour chart, draw a fib across that range. Then let's go back to my daily. Put a line in 164.11. And I would watch that area of support for potential support this week. So just move it to the 4-hour chart now. 79% levels at 160.63. So 160.63 down to 160.41 would be the area I would look for support down here to see if we will potentially now on the daily chart put in a higher bottom here. So a little inverted head and shoulder pattern may be forming down on that support area. So you can monitor that. I can watch that on the 15. Just redraw that in. So there would be a support area that I would watch. And watch it in line with the other yen pairs, because if the other yen pairs aren't looking like they're going to get support, this could just continue down. So don't trade in isolation of what the other yen pairs are doing. All right, let's get into Euro Pound now. Euro Pound, whilst it is on the monthly chart mapping out potentially here, lower top to lower bottom to potentially another lower top, it's right on support. So this could still want to move down, but the problem with trading that idea is there's limited room left to the sell side before you hit major support at 83.40. Quite clearly up here was where you want to be selling, and down here, if you did, is where you want to be taking your profit. So there's not much room left, I don't think, for the buyers down here at the moment. So, sorry, not much room down there if you're a seller. All right, we're definitely in the buy zone. So if you were selling, you want to be selling high. And we're into the buy zone now, okay? All right, so we know we've got a downtrend on the monthly. The weekly is actually up because that's to a higher top. So there is the potential for this to hold as an inverse head and shoulders, like we're seeing maybe on the euro yen. Or, it's going to try to break through this support area here. So the thing you need to know is it's not great selling into this area because you've got support. Question is, do you see a nice setup to be a buyer from this area or not? Should be the question. Would be nice if we had another stab down here and failed once more. So we've obviously had a bit of a bounce here, but it's not a massive rally up at the moment. It's only moved up 30 pips. So like it's, had a big bounce, so we could be having a short-term bounce. Be nice if we came back down once more and reverse once more. Then you're getting a double tap on support and it's starting to want to hold. So I think that's the way I would play it. But let's move to the 4-hour chart. Just a bit consolidatory here. So I'd like to see the 4-hour chart come down and have another go down here at 83.97. And do we see a reversal back up? All right. If we do, then look for a setup to buy. So we'll go back to the daily. Now, from a sell side perspective, the last area of support that we really broke below was this little area here, 84.98. So if we rally back up to 84.98 without retesting support, that could be a resistance area to watch to move down from. So if you're keen to get short, I would watch up there. As long as, I don't think, if we just came up now, that's great. That would be the area to look for a short. If we had a significant retest of support now here and held, then we're probably going to move back up the range. So it all depends what price does it over the next 24 hours. So it just comes straight back up, then look up here for resistance. If we retest and hold, we'll probably move back above here. So we just have to see how it plays. All right, pound dollar. Just wanted to show on the weekly chart here that this upward move, we're into the 127 extension area last week and the week before, overlapping with this 31.42 high and this low over here at 31.68. So it's in the profit taking area of the fib, it's into resistance and natural selling pressures coming into the market there. Now we can all see that the weekly trend here at the moment is up, higher bottom, higher top, but we're quite clearly seeing a reverse like this high and of the major range high to low. We're in the 62.79% area here. We're not getting up to 79, so this could be a false break here. So a key level to watch. Similar commentary to euro dollar. We're probably going to have 1 or 2 more days down here this week. And for us to go deeper down, 130.44 is a key area here on the weekly chart. So that would be the key area to watch for the buyers. If you're a buyer on this, if you're favoring the buyer side, that you want that level to be support this week. And of course, if you've already got short up here, I did get short at this high, 131.42. I got short at 131.40. I'm wanting 130.44 to break. So we'll see which side of the market one's out. You can see today and yesterday, once we broke below on Friday, below 134.42, it's starting to be the resistance level. We may well retest that level once more this week, so you can watch that to be resistance. We got a rush up there early London, which you'll see in the 50-minute chart, and we have pretty much held there. So you may have had the last opportunity to sell down from there. So, first target at the moment would be down here at 130.44 now. Does that hold for support for the buyers this week? Or, we did have an imbalance in here that hasn't quite got filled. And then we had a number of imbalances start to form up through here. So this whole area is an imbalance area. So we could well be coming straight back down, I think, to this area down here. So that's a weekly top over here at 28.93 and 128.73 down there. So don't be surprised if we don't claw that back, because this weekly run up 62 levels at 128.94, which is in this zone, and that very little imbalance there is at the 79% level. So don't be surprised to see a pullback all the way back down the range. and then the support hold. All right. So if we do move below 30.44 this week, I would expect we're going to fill this whole area here. All right. So my bias at the moment is the short side, not long term, because long term trend's up at the moment, but that long term trend could shift to the downside if we get a significant reversal. But look at the 4 hour. So you can see testing the lower last week. We're probably going to move through the lower last week at some point. So we're probably going to move through. And then what you want to do, wherever that moves through to, is then look to draw a fib in and look to sell a rally. And, have an expectation that maybe we're coming at least down to 130.44 this week. Unless some news item comes out and changes the immediate intraday trend, which is being down. All right, so at the moment, let's go to the 15. So here you can see we just didn't quite get back up to 130.42 on this big rush at the beginning of London. So if we do come back up today, I would watch central pivots at 31.38 up to 131.42. That would be the area I would watch to be a seller if you come back up. But I suspect we might not. And you really want to be dragging a fib down this way as we break below the low and look to sell the next rally, okay? Pound yen, just traded into an area of weekly resistance up here. And same story from a monthly perspective, we are definitely up, 79% rejection, back up here. Just wanted to check on my 4-hour chart. We just traded above last month's high just. Weekly chart here with this. So this is weekly trend is down. So this is all rally at the moment. Back to this weekly top here at 193.52. So we actually have a monthly trend that's up and a weekly trend that's down. And if we just flip the fib, we're probably halfway back up, about halfway. So we're not up to a 62 or 79% level at the moment. So long-term trend could be up from the monthly chart, or it could be now down from the weekly chart. So it's difficult when those two things aren't agreeing. Day chart is telling you that we're up at the moment. You can see higher bottom, higher top. And if you're looking within this upward move at the moment, it's been to the 62% retracement, could come down to 79. There's going to be some 4-hour support down there and on the 4-hour chart. All this area through here. That's the area that I would watch. So 190.48 down to the 79% level at 190.34. Do we come into that area this week? Find support to continue the move up. All right. Could hold at the 62 level. We're at the 62 level right now. Just move into the 15. So that's the area, that's the lower area. I always look for the lower area because it gives you better risk reward. But 62 levels here at 190.101, 190.100 there. We're just trading below yesterday's low just, so we could get support from yesterday's low. So, if you start to see a setup and a reversal from the 191 level, then, you're trading the 62% retracement to trade back up. And, you're trading back up for retest the high at 193.47, and can we move up to the 127 extension at 194.54? All right. That's the way I would look at the pound yen at the moment. Aussie yen. Was surprised to see a strong sell-off today, but the Aussie dollar's been selling off. So pound yen's been moving down because the pound dollar's moving down. Euro yen's moving down because the euro dollar's moving down. And the Aussie yen's moving down because the Aussie dollar's moving down. So Aussie yen monthly, it's exactly the same, 79% retracement on the monthly. So the monthly's up, but the weekly's down. A couple of areas of resistance here. I'm using this top to left here, 98.43 that we've moved above. So is that going to be support? The weekly. So monthly's up, but the weekly's down. So we can see on the monthly retracement, 79% support. On the weekly rally, we're at 50% retracement. Haven't made it to 62 or 79. And which of those two trends is going to win out? That's where it gets tricky on these yen pairs at the moment. To the daily. Daily's up at the moment. Nasty reversal though today. And the trend is up here on the daily, higher bottom to a higher top. So whilst it is nasty, it may just be a pullback within the range. We're at the 62 level today. I would look at the 79% level at 97.81 down to 97.66, which is monthly support from an old high over here to the left. I just want to double check I'm saying that right. Yep, old high over here to the left. So maybe to the 4 hour. Be difficult on these 4 hour charts at the moment with this big drop down here. All the candles are very small and tight together, but down at the 79% level, 97.81 down to that support level. You can see all the lows, we're getting support from that area before. So if we get back down to 97.81 to 97.66, you're going to expect support to come back in there. If we break the low, of course, then the trend of the day chart's turning back to down. So we have a monthly trend up, weekly trend down, day trend up. So is that monthly holding its overall trend? And at some point, the weekly turns back to up, or are we getting a complete long-term change of trend on these yen pairs? So it is a little bit difficult on the yen pairs at the moment. And big sell-off today on the 15-minute. Wasn't able to hold above last week's high and last month's high. Last week's high is there at 98.96 and last month's high at 99. So 99, which I was anticipating maybe becoming support today, hasn't been able to hold its support. So, it wouldn't be wrong to look if you're more on the bearish side. We come back up to 99 and last month's high at 99.02, and you start to see that hold there. Well, that could just be a rally now back to resistance to maybe move down to break the day chart trend. So there's two sides of the market. That could happen this week. Tomorrow we could come back up to that area and hold. But with the day trend up at the moment, and we have moved up to a new high week up this week as well, then until we see a change in the day chart trend, I'd be more inclined to go with the day chart trend. So could watch this 62 level, which we've missed by about a pip at 98.52 for reversal. I'd much prefer the lower area. It's going to move to my 1 hour chart. The lower area down here at 97.81 to 97.66, because we've been getting long-term support down there for a couple of weeks. So it's a well-worn area of support at the moment. So if it comes in, then at least then if you get into a trade, it may well bounce away from that area. You can get your risk out. And if it does then reverse, you've got a higher chance of maybe getting your risk out down here, then maybe doing something at the 62 level here, which is a little bit less, it's less obvious support here. Lots more support down there at the 97.66 area. All right. And, this yen pair and the other yen pairs, if we start to see a very strong move down on pairs versus the US dollar, the yen pairings could move down in line with the same movement. So we'll have to wait and see. Right, so the Aussie. Hopefully everybody's aware that maybe we're failing at this high. It's 67.98. Of course, we've had a massive move up from 63.62. Go to the weekly chart. So there's a very dominant range here. That was a very obvious high, maybe that the market would hit, possibly false break and hold. See, we hit this low, false broke and hold. So it is definitely not out of anybody's imagination at the moment. This could move straight back down to here. And for the whole year, we could be in, some kind of sideways. Look what last year's price action for the most part was there. All right, so we're really not too far away from the range of last year, this year. So we could move high because I know the RBA is saying we're not going to cut interest rates this year, but our interest rates are lower than the US. So even if the US cuts interest rates, they're not going to be lower than ours. They're still going to be above ours. So we could still be remaining very range bound, or having a week down. So if this is maybe a weekly top of the range, could be a weekly double top, but certainly weekly top of the range, we could be moving back down to the bottom of the range. So if that's the case, you want to be getting in to the short side within the early phase of the move down, if that's your mode of operation. So we may have already missed now the opportunity to get short so high up, because you can see 3 days. You had 3 days to, in fact, you had more than 3 days. You had 1, 2, 3, 5 days out of 6 there traded at 67.98. So you had best part of a week to decide last week. Did you want to get short up there at such a high level? Now the buyers could most definitely come in at these 2 weekly highs at 67.14 to 67.04 this week. So if we're going to continue the upward move long term, this area needs to hold. That's where the buyers will be looking to defend. So if you want to look for a buy, that's where to look for. And you could be looking as well within this range. So 79% level here, 67.23, down to this area support. So the lowest point at 67.04. That could definitely be the support area for the week to move back up to retest 67.98. So that's the buy side. For the sell side, if you're wanting to get short and you haven't yet gotten yourself ready, down, let me use the 4-hour chart. Just moving down into the 127 extension area. So then you'd obviously expect now a bounce. So monitor the range for the next bounce and then look to the 62.79% area. So 67.69 to 67.80. Do we rally back to that area now over the next 24 hours to come into the support area? And then what happens at support? All right. That's how I'd expect it. Well, it's assuming we can have a rally. We might not rally. We may just come straight down into support. But looking at ways to get into the short side, you'd have to look for a rally. So I would look for that kind of action. Whether or not it comes around, we'll have to wait and see. But what I'm definitely seeing is 2 weeks ago, approximately, we had this upward move. The upward move, I think nearly on all pairs now, is getting filled, this imbalance. And I'm going through imbalances tomorrow. So this imbalance here has gotten filled. And there's another imbalance over here that may need to get filled from this outside move. So just thinking about where price may be moving down to at the moment. If we break through support, there's an imbalance in here. There's an imbalance in here. There's one forming there. All right, so this very strong upward move back up to the top of the range. Maybe we want to come back down now and start to fill in imbalances that were formed on the move up. But support at the moment, we'd have to break 6,700 now for support to break. So if you wanted to get short, don't get too short towards 67. All right, New Zealand yen. Monthly lock trend is up. Like all the other yen pairs, we're getting support at 79% rejection down here. Starting to move back above some areas of resistance. Weekly trend is down. So on the weekly fib range, where 50%, like most of the rally has been on the other pairs. And the day trend is up, coming back down support. So whilst we're having a negative day today on the yen crosses, it's not changing the day chart trend. And we're actually at a very good area of support. That daily level here, 90.21.7. To the buy side, that support coming in with the 62 level. So we're pretty much there at the moment. So if you abolish the New Zealand yen, this is the area of support to watch. So 90.21 is your day support and 62 levels at 90.08. Watch that area today. If you wanted to get long, can you see your setup down there to get long? From a sell side perspective at the moment, if we are reversing, I would probably need, this has been a little bit stronger than the other yen pairs. I would need to see the day chart trend turn to down first before thinking about looking for a short as well. This area over here, 89.94 from that weekly area. That area holding, you would anticipate then we would move up. So I would need to see a move back below this low here at least before entertaining the short side on that pair at the moment. All right, New Zealand dollar, which is false breaking the double tops here, double top. I did get short. I actually got short up here. I almost got stopped out. In fact, I got short previously, and this downward movement almost got stopped out. So with my 100 pip entry, last time I almost got stopped out. So when price was coming down like so, and then moved back up here, I got short in here. I used a 100 pip stop, so it was up here. It was just up here somewhere. And almost got stopped out and then didn't, and then took profit over here somewhere. And I almost got stopped out here and didn't because I traded at these tops. And now we're coming back below these tops. So I'm going to go to the weekly charts. Because that's the late December high. 79% of that range. So now we could just be operating within this range all year. And we could be coming back down to test these lows. After we failed at this double top here, and we were moving down, nobody would have thought maybe that we were going to come back up to test those tops. And maybe people are thinking we're never going to come back down to test these bottoms, but quite clearly we could. So like the Aussie, the question is now, are we failing at resistance to move back down to the bottom of the range, at least? All right. So from a buy side perspective, here's support, 61.53. So if you're looking for the buy side opportunity, that would be support this week, but we're not there at the moment. Sell side, I would look for price to come back into these two tops if it's friendly. So 62.14 to 62.21. I would look for that area to be resistance now. So drop your fib down from that top on the 4 hour. 62.79% area overlaps that area. So as I was saying, 62.14 to 21 up here. I would look to that area for price to come back into if it wants to be user friendly. To try to sell down, and do we hold at 61.53 or are we moving back down the range? So if we are topping out at the top, you want to be trying to get short in the early part of the move to maximize your profit if we're moving back down to the bottom of the range. All right, so let's move back to the daily. We have broken below a very minor swing bottom here as well. So the day chart trend is actually turning to the downside at the moment. All right, so the most immediate trend is down after false breaking the 62.14 to 21 area there. So that could get retested once more to be resistance. All right. So it looks on the 15 at the moment. So we could actually come back into there today. All right. I've already done today's range, so I wouldn't be selling down here at the bottom because once we usually do the range of the day, we will then often retrace back up inside the range of the day before then moving down once more. So that's the obvious area to look for a rally back to. Dollar Canadian. Now, from the monthly perspective, the trend is actually up. It has a higher top, even though we failed at the top to the left, and a higher bottom. And we retraced just slightly below the 62 level, back down to, or just short of weekly support area down here at 134.20. And you'll see on the day chart in a moment as we move to the day chart. So the monthly's up, the weekly's turned down, and at the moment the daily's down. But a couple of imbalances here that have drawn in. Will we come back up to fill these imbalances? We're already starting to fill the first one. Are we going to be, the monthly picture here, I just want to go back to the weekly. The monthly picture is in an uptrend. There's the upward move. Is this just corrective now of that move to the 62 area to have another go at those highs to the left? Are we going to see further movement up? We may have be getting an interest rate cut this week, which is theoretically dollar Canadian positive from an interest rate differential perspective. So whilst the weekly and day trends are down, the monthly structure's up. So it'd be nice to see a higher bottom form in the daily if you were to get excited about this turning the corner to move back up. We don't have that yet. And we're unlikely to have that before the interest rate decision tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow, isn't it? In midnight into Thursday. So it's just getting into, it is tomorrow from the US perspective. All right. So if you want to get long now, if you're thinking, okay, we're maybe bottoming out down there, just monitor the 4 hour range. Draw the fib in. Look for a 62.79% retracement on the 4 hour range. So at the moment, it's still bullish for the day, but look for a pullback within the 4 hour structure and look to buy a dip. As I said on the day chart, those two imbalances are probably going to get filled. And then are we going to, by that time, we may well see on the day chart higher bottom forming, so we'll have a higher top and bottom on the chart. And then we'll have a daily uptrend in line with the monthly trend. So we could be bottoming out here. So we could be, seeing most definitely maybe a US dollar reversal coming into the picture, or at least, that's the whole month pretty much down last month. Just going to go to the 4-hour chart. Yes, it is. So that whole move down was last month's move. So we could just, even if we're not going to take out the tops at the top, that's the move down last month. Even if we're going to move lower long term, we will probably see a move back up now to the 62 or the 79% level or area before then coming down. So I would anticipate we're going to be coming up the range at the moment, filling these imbalances. We could then top out for a lower top to form, or this is the next start of the bull move on the monthly chart. Okay. All right, dollar franc. We're actually back down, false breaking weekly support down here at the moment, so weekly reversal. Weekly trend is still down, lower top, lower bottom, but we are very low down here at the moment. Within, go to the monthly chart, within historical price action, we're very low down here. So if we were to move back above this monthly low at 85.52, so that's where it is on the weekly chart. If we get above 85.52 this week, we're getting back above monthly support. So then I would anticipate, if we were to move back above this level, I'd anticipate we're actually going to come up to 87.29 as a move up in the short term. So let's go to the daily. So 85, I think 52 is a line in the sand for the buyers and the sellers. What happens at 85.52? That could be the selling level to structure a short if you see it set up to get short, or through the week if we move above 85.52, then we're looking for a buy. So does it come up and hold, or does it move above and then you look for that level to be support to head towards 87.29? So I'd have to see some more price action. I want to see price get to 85.52, and what does it do? Does it be the resistance that we maybe like it to be if you want to get to the short side? Or if you want to get to the long side, does it break, become support? All right, so that will be the area that I would watch. Market, I think direction of the market will be determined at that level when we get there. All right, let's just finish on the gold. All right, so when I left a week ago, I was looking at these two highs that we moved above. And I think on the Thursday, my last webinar was in here, and that area became support. So this is a little bit lower top. We have broken that low, so it's a little negative up here on the day chart trend. Weekly trend though is still up. Just from a weekly perspective, I'd say got a bit messy in here, but we moved down to that low. All right, we could be using that. I think that's how I had it. There's a higher bottom there to that bottom. So that's the most immediate range on the weekly structure. So if we are pulling back, we don't have to pull back below supports. But if we do expect, a 62% retracement at least back into this weekly high. So we are seeing a little bit of negativity here on the day chart. It's lower top forming. Lower top forming, but we are getting support from this area because you can see yesterday's candle and today's candle are both spiking ahead of this area of support. So it does make life a little bit difficult. So we're getting some kind of range above those highs. All right, something like that at the moment. So really, long-term trend we know is up. It's just how much of a pullback we get before we continue up long-term. So support is still 24.83 down to 24.77. So I would really look to that area still for support to move up until proven different. So with the long-term trend up, I would look at support where it is. Where is it? It's 24.83 down to 24.77 in here. Price comes into there. Does it hold? Can you see set up to buy? That would be the area that I would watch. As proven back here when I last discussed it. All right. And as well, it's not looking very nice on the daily. It doesn't mean so, if you don't see nice price action on the day chart, you don't have to trade it. You can wait for nicer price action on the day chart before you get in. So we don't have great price action here on the daily at the moment, some form of consolidation. But support is from 24.83 down to 24.77 with longer term trend, okay? All right, so that's my thoughts on the market at the moment. I just want to see what's the pound. It's trying to have a go at last week's low at the moment. Euro has moved through last week's low. So we're definitely seeing US dollar strength coming in ahead of the job figures on Friday, and there's more news items coming out before then, with today's first up from the US today's moving into Wednesday on midnight, the ISM manufacturing PMI. So yeah, the downtrend that we're seeing on the pairs to the US dollar at the moment could continue, or we could reverse back up. That will definitely be a driver at the moment. So that could just come out slightly weaker than expected, just enough to maybe offer a rally for more shorts. All right, as we head into the job figures, or we could be bottoming out today if it comes in very good. Well, let's say that comes in very poor. Pairs to the US dollar could bottom out today, but structurally, on that. Where are we? Structurally on the dollar index, back to that monthly chart. Strong support down there at the 165 level. So if all we do this week is retest there and holds, I would anticipate more US dollar strength. So yes, look to see what the news items are doing, and then look to the key levels on the charts and see if they get tested. Do they hold or not? All right. So the first item is coming out tonight from the US. Midnight my time, ISM manufacturing PMI data. So I'm not going to be opening any new positions ahead of then, but I'll see what's happening after that. Then we got from the US job openings the next day's midnight, moving into Thursday. And of course, the US job figures on Friday. So know where the major items are coming out for the week, and don't have a fear of missing out. Let the items come out and then see whether you can trade post the items, okay? All right, everybody. I'll leave it at that. If you want to join me this week, got more webinars from me this week, just head over to the webinar page link at the top. Tomorrow I'll be going through part 3 of Introduction to Smart Money Concepts, taking you through price imbalances, okay? I've discussed a few of those today, but I'll get more into it tomorrow, okay? So if you have the time, look forward to seeing you later in the week. Other than that, have a great trading week, everybody. Thank you.